All right, so we'll open this meeting of the Metropolitan Planning Organization Citizens Advisory Committee, Wednesday, January 6th in the year 2021. And don't we start with a roll call? Do you do that, Tam? Or do we just go through and announce who's here?
You said working on it.
Are we waiting?
I'm waiting for
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure.
Send you the screenshots. Yeah, we can just go ahead.
Andy Graves here.
Marilyn DeShant.
Tom Ryan.
Clinton Wynn.
Okay. Shall we begin then? Yeah, he said
Tom
he
Ryan.
did. Yeah.
You can have them unmute themselves by holding down their space bar.
For those online, can you introduce yourselves?
Steve Hickman, Dade City.
Lauren Shediger, FPO.
Who was that? Oh, staff. Was that staff? Yeah. Anybody else from the CAC?
Melanie Monson, Zephyr Hills.
Oh, Melanie. Anyone else? Oh, okay.
Yes, Craig Fox, Florida Department of Transportation. Good morning. Happy New Year.
Who is this? I'm sorry.
Craig Fox with the Florida Department of Transportation.
Okay. Are you filling in for Jensen today?
No, ma'am. I'm here to report on the US 41 to State Road 54 project, and I believe Jensen's online also.
Oh, okay. Hello, Jensen. Well, I'm hearing myself.
Just a tip and reminder, you can temporarily unmute yourself by holding down the space bar.
Okay. All right, then. Are we ready to, okay. Do we have anybody here for public comment? We don't have anyone, so we'll continue. We have minutes of the last meeting of, what was that meeting? November 12th?
December 2nd.
December 2nd.
Well, okay, December 2nd. I'm looking for them and I cannot find them. The meeting minutes that I have in this
Page 3.
page 3, I don't seem to have a page 3.
Page 3.
All right, let me look here.
At the top.
Well, okay. 3, all right, these are the minutes. It says here, according to my page 4, meeting minutes November 12. Were those meeting minutes for December 12? I'm a little confused here.
It says Wednesday, December 2nd. On the top of the page.
Okay, all right, fine.
So this is the, what you're looking at is the attendees list. For the
Okay,
December 2nd.
all right. Now, okay, so that was for, today, what's today? It's January 6th. All right, do we have any comments or questions regarding the minutes of December 2nd? Okay, with no comments, we'll just approve the meetings. Do we go through and say, do I get a motion on that?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Well, it's all in consensus, vote by consensus.
Oh, yes, that's
We're
right.
doing consensus today because we have no quorum.
Yes, exactly.
So it's consensus.
Right.
All
So
right.
all in favor of the minutes?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Tania. You're gonna have to help us a lot today, I think. All right, then the next item is approval of the minutes. We did that. Report on the MPO board actions, the December meeting. Tania?
On December 10th, we had our MPO board meeting. We had quite a bit of an extensive agenda due to the fact that we didn't have our November meeting. We had 2 CAC updates for November and December, and then we had 2 BPAC updates for August and December. Moving forward, the MPO board is requesting that all reporting coming forth is 5 minutes or less, just in the sake of time, so that way we can move the MPO meeting forward and it will make the meeting just move a little bit smoother. The next, we had the MPO bylaws, an overview of the updates that we provided to the MPO board. We had the functional reclassification for State Road 56. We had the Vision Zero Phase 2 Educate and Engage scope on the agenda. We had the election of the MPO Board 2021 officers. We had the FTA public safety targets that was presented by Kurt from PCPT. We had the AECOM support for UPWP, including the in-house staff for minor updates for the PPP scope presented. And we had the District 3 appointee for the CAC for Commissioner Starkey's district appointed. We did have 2 CAC at-large members presented to the board. At the time when they were presented, the MPO board requested more information about the CAC members because they were not present to speak for themselves and there wasn't enough information provided. So I have gotten with Philomi and Mark to present some more information on themselves, and hopefully they can attend the February meeting so that way they can be present for the board to ask questions. Thank you.
Do we have any comments from the CAC members? Any questions?
Just one.
Yes.
So was there a reason why the at-large members couldn't make the meeting? Was it a coordinating issue or?
I believe they both had to work, so that was the issue. So I think this time I've been coordinating, so I think we might be able to get them on for February. So hopefully they'll be able to make it.
All right. Any other questions? All right, then, this is primarily a report to the CAC as information. We don't need to vote or do a consensus. We'll move on then to action items. Item A, Florida Department of Transportation, et cetera. You help us start with that?
Yes, we do have Jensen Hackett from FDOT to present this item.
Hello, Jensen. Jensen?
He's on. He just needs to-
I'm sorry, I don't see his face.
He has to unmute and talk.
Do you hear him?
There we go. Did that work?
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, good. Good morning, CAC. Happy New Year. Jensen Hackett here from the Department of Transportation. So in front of you, I have a TIP and STIP amendment that is involving the State Road 52 project. Currently in your TIP, it does not include 2 wildlife culverts that are going underneath State Road 52, just to the west side of Aaron Cutoff. This is going to add just about $11 million to the project to include these 2 culverts underneath the roadway during the construction phase. So we are asking for an approval from the CAC to take to the board for their approval at their next board meeting.
Okay, now Jensen, since I'm having some challenges hearing with this virtual, repeat for me. Did you say that you're going to exclude the wildlife, whatever it was you called them, culverts or something?
No, this is to actually include them in the overall construction project.
Okay, to include. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
For $11 million. For $11 million.
Mm-hmm. All right. Do we have any comment from the CAC? Comment?
Does the additional money, the 11 million, does that create any kind of problem in timing and phasing of the project? Or is that already budgeted?
No, that will not create any timing issues. That will just be added to the project total and then funded during the construction phase.
God, they're expensive.
So do we need a motion then on this to approve? Jania?
We need a vote. We would have to vote by consensus again.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Mhm.
All right, so do we have any other questions regarding Jensen's comments about the wildlife culvert or whatever? If with no more comments, do we have a consensus, Andy? Aye.
Aye.
Do we just
All
say
in favor,
aye?
yep.
Okay. Then, Steve, any comments?
No comments, I vote in favor.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay. So just moving forward by consensus.
I do want to ask a question on a culvert. Is State Road 52 will be at grade, right? So,
Yes, so it'll be pretty much at grade. There may be just a little bit of a grade change to get the wildlife culverts underneath the roadway. But as far as I know from the actual design of these culverts, they're mostly an underground of these culverts. So they will go underneath the grade of the roadway. But there may be a slight adjustment in the overall grade of 52 to get these underneath the road.
yeah, that just, I mean, it's awful swampy around there.
Yeah.
No. All right. So it could be underwater culvert. I mean,
Okay.
sorry. Just the
So-
engineering part of it boggles my mind, but thank you.
All right. If we are completed with this action item A, it appears that we now go to status reports and presentations. Status report A, Florida Department of Transportation Work Program Update. Will that be you, Tania?
That will be Jensen Hackett on the line.
Jensen, thank you.
All right, and you guys will have a presentation for this. Tania will be running that, so I'm just going to wait until she brings that up on the screen.
Oh, that's,
Can you see it on your end, Jensen?
Not yet. It might just take a lag, so give it a second. Okay, there it is.
Okay.
All right, well, good morning again, CAC. For the record, once again, Jensen Hackett with the Department of Transportation. I'm going to be walking you through the tentative 5-year work program, which is going to include state fiscal years 22 through state fiscal year 26, and all of the projects that are included within that time frame. So the tentative work program for fiscal years 2022 through 2026 is going to cover all project phases and activities that are scheduled from July 1st of 2021 through June 30th of 2026. Just remember that the state fiscal year starts July 1st. Year 1 is what is included in the state's proposed budget, and this is obviously pending legislative session and governor approval. Years 2 through 5 are any commitments for production and financial planning purposes in the program. This will include any FDOT managed projects, as well as locally managed projects that do have some kind of FDOT involvement with them. So the work program is a 5-year plan that does include public transit, seaport, airport, and rail projects. And it also includes any transportation planning, any intelligent transportation planning systems, highway design, right-of-way acquisition, and any and all construction activities associated with it.
Jensen, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Do they refer to that with the seaport, et cetera, and so forth, as the SIS? Is that part of that?
So some seaports can be part of the SIS. The SIS is the Strategic Intermodal System. So that is the designated corridors by the state and the Department of Transportation that are of significant importance. So that doesn't encompass all of the seaports and airports in the state. It only encompasses those that are designated as part of the SIS system. So that would include like Port Tampa Bay, Tampa International, those type of facilities across the state.
All right. One more question, and that is, we do not have a copy of this presentation in our agenda. Is that correct, Tania? We do not have a copy of this presentation.
No, but I can email it out.
You do definitely email to us. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Jensen. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. So every year on June 30th, the current year of the work program comes to an end. And on July 1st, year 2 moves up to become the new current year of the program. And at this time, a new 5th year is added, and funding is then allocated to the next phase of projects that are programmed within the 4 prior years. New projects are then added into the new 5th year based on the Florida Transportation Plan goals, other statewide programs, and local priorities such as the Pasco MPO priority list of projects. So this is where we currently are in the process at the tentative work program. So this presentation will outline any changes to the first 5 years of the work program and to any new projects that are new in that 5th year. This proposed work program will be submitted to the Florida legislature later this year for review, and then it will be given to the governor for his review and signature upon that July 1st date. So then after the governor does sign the work program, the first year is then included in our state budget, and the work program is then considered adopted. So in this update process, what we do is we preserve our existing system and we deliver any of the unfunded phases of projects that are next up. So for example, if we have previously funded a PD&E or a design phase, we would look to then fund right-of-way or construction if right-of-way is not needed. This update will also provide a cost estimate to any projects that need to be updated, and it adds new projects into the 5-year program. And all of these are actually based on safety and security projects, system preservation, multimodal enhancements, operational improvements, and capacity improvements. And where we find these is based on, and Tania, you can hit next, all of your MPO priorities and your priority list, regional priorities such as the TMA for Tampa Bay, as well as the Strategic Intermodal System and FDOT priorities. So new projects that are not previously included in the work program will be brand new. And then the new phases of existing projects, which those are all listed down on that list. So if you see PD&E, that equates to project development and environmental. PE is for preliminary engineering and or design. ROW is for right-of-way. CST is for construction. DSB is for a design build project. And CAP are other capital grants that are added from that funding source. And as always, we will have select projects of interest that are included in the list. And so before I begin the list of actual projects that are part of this work program, I do want to make one caveat. If you have a project in mind that has already been included in the work program, and that project is not listed in any of these projects I'm about to go through, Do not panic. All that means is that that project has not changed in this work program. So if there was construction funded for a project in fiscal year 23 and you do not see that project listed, that just means that the construction is still funded for that project in fiscal year 23. So the first project on the list is the planning model studies. This is a Pasco MPO priority. This is the model studies that they go through with the department, District 7, for modeling purposes. This was planning that was added to fiscal year 26. Next on the list is your number one priority, which is State Road 52 Schrader Highway from just east of US 41 to Aaron Cutoff. This is the adding lanes and reconstructing project going from 2 lanes to 4 lanes divided with that trail facility on the roadway. So this construction was actually deferred from fiscal 25 to fiscal 26. What I want to say about this project is there is a slight caveat with that deferral. We were originally planning to begin construction on that in June. This is just moving by 1 month to July. So we were going to begin construction in June of 25, and that is now changing to July of 25. So that's why it looks like it's deferred a fiscal year, but really it's only moving a month. The next project is US 301 and Gall Boulevard from State Road 39 to County Road 54 in the city of Zephyr Hills. This is adding lanes and reconstructing. This is part of that one-way pair project in the city of Zephyr Hills. This is right-of-way has been added in an advanced acquisition phase to fiscal year 26. The next two on the list are roundabouts. The first is on the priority list as State Road 52 at College Avenue and Pompanic Street. This is just near the town of St. Leo and San Ann. This is a roundabout with right-of-way added to fiscal year 22 and construction has been added to fiscal year 23. The next is the second roundabout on your priority list. This is over in the city of Dade City. This is State Road 52 at Meridian Avenue. This is the other roundabout that right-of-way has been added to fiscal 24 and construction has been added into fiscal year 26. The next on the list is Old Pasco Road from County Road 54, Wesley Chapel Boulevard to State Road 52. This is that parallel route to I-75 over in the Wesley Chapel area. This is expanding the roadway from 2 lanes to 4 lanes, kind of near the new Cypress Creek High School. This is right-of-way that has been added to fiscal years 24 and fiscal years 25. And this is a SIGP grant through the county, so a county incentive grant program right-of-way. The next is State Road 54 from just west of Virginia City Drive to Old Mill Pond Road. This is just a resurfacing project, and this is design that has been added to fiscal 23 with construction added in fiscal 25. The next is a Pasco MPO priority. This is on your transportation alternatives list, your TA list. So these are bike and pedestrian projects. This is School Road from Community Center Road to US 41, Land O'Lakes Boulevard. This is a bike path and a trail. This is design has been added to fiscal 24 with construction being added to fiscal 26. And the next is Jasmine Boulevard from US 19 to County Road 1 Little Road over there just to the north side of Newport Richey, south of Hudson. This is a bike path and a trail on that roadway with design added to fiscal 24 and construction also added to fiscal 26. And then this next project is US 19 from Pinellas County line to New York Avenue. This is actually a lighting project. So this is a design build project that was advanced to fiscal year 24. We had this as a construction phase in fiscal year 25, but now we have essentially combined that to a design build project, and we were able to advance that into fiscal 24. The next is US 19 from the Pinellas County line to the Hernando County line. So this is actually running the entire length of US 19 in Pasco County. This is construction added to fiscal year 23. And this one actually is a traffic control devices and system project. So what this is actually adding is it is adding AV, so automatic vehicle technology that is in there for signal phasing and timing along the entire corridor. So this is one of our pilot projects that we're doing with the connected vehicles, autonomous vehicles projects to go and put ahead signal timing and phasing priority to those vehicles along the entire corridor. So this is another one of our safety projects trying to improve safety there along US 19. The next is...
Jensen,
yes,
I have
go
a
ahead.
question. And the reason I want to interrupt is because I don't want to finish this whole thing and then have to go back. So, number one question regarding the US 19 SR 55 from Pinellas County line. Okay. DSB means?
That's a design build project. So essentially we're combining the design and construction phases so that it can be advanced quicker.
Advanced what?
Quicker? More quickly.
Oh, more quickly. Does that mean you're adding a lane?
No, that first project, the Pinellas County line to New York Avenue is actually a lighting project. So that's lighting upgrades along the US 19 corridor.
Okay, well, it doesn't seem to indicate that to me. So what you're saying then is it light, you're just adding lights along US 19? Okay. Correct. It doesn't say that. Okay, US 19 SR 55 from Pinellas County to Hernando are you making reference to ITS when you talk about this?
It is an ITS project in the grand scheme of things, but really it's specifically for autonomous vehicles and their signal priority throughout the corridor. So this would be upgrading signal timings and signal phases at all of the intersections for things like queuing or the autonomous or control along that corridor.
Okay, so you're anticipating, or the DOT is anticipating that driverless cars will actually be on US 19 by roughly 2023.
Yes, and we're also trying to make this project out ahead of when we think that the potential for more autonomous and controlled vehicles could be along that corridor.
Oh, goodness sakes. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, as long as we're asking questions, can I go back to the bike path in Land O'Lakes at the community center?
Yes.
That's a very short strip. What side is it going to be on? I guess it's along Community Center Road, right?
Yes, I believe that is the case.
It's School Road to US 41. They already have sidewalk that goes through the park. Do they need a bike path? I'm just curious. I ride my bike there, that's why I know.
I believe what the MPO wanted to do is make this, essentially increase it from a sidewalk to a full bike path of at least 8 feet. So I think that they're working on their trail connections up there, and that's the reason for the increase in size of that from a sidewalk to an actual trail facility, which would be at least 8 feet across.
Do you know what side of the road it would be on? On the
I'm not 100% sure on this side, but I can find out for you just so that way you know which side of the roadway it'll be on. I believe it's just expanding the existing sidewalk, but I believe there's sidewalk on both sides. So I'll have to check out just to make sure exactly which side that's going on.
There aren't sidewalks on both sides. I'll just tell you that. So, and on the one side where the community center is, it practically butts up to the road, but they just put in a community garden. So you'd be taking a lot of that out, I guess, if it's on the south side of the road. Just to let you know.
Okay, yeah, I'll note that and I'll figure out. Okay, yeah, we'll do.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
My daughter attends Sanders Elementary, so during school event days, people are actually parking on that sidewalk because there's very little
Parking
accessibility there. Plus, like I said, if you guys can look at that, because there's a drainage ditch between the sidewalk and the chain link fence of the park and the school. And then if you go in front of the school, there's very little area to even widen the existing sidewalk, because I usually cross over the street and park at the church when there's all pro data events. They try and get not right now, but now that we're virtual, but we always have to go back and forth and park, and thank goodness the church is so, free on their parking for us, as long as it doesn't impede on theirs. So that's just something they need to stop and take a look at this before they start pouring concrete or asphalt. It'd be great suggestion.
All right, if we don't have any further questions, we'll ask Jensen to continue. Jensen.
Alrighty, so the next one is I-75 from just north of the Thomas Prairie Creek Bridge to south of County Road 41 in Blanton. This is construction added to fiscal year 22. This is actually a landscaping project along I-75. That we'd be adding some landscaping as well as some other features just along that portion of the roadway. And then last but not least on this is the Zephyrhills Municipal Airport Taxiway B extension. This is an aviation capacity and preservation project, and this is just extending that taxiway B. And this was added to fiscal year 24 in a capital grant phase through aviation. And so on the next slide, this will show your total funding over the entire 5-year program. So what we have programmed in the 5 years for Pasco County is just over $300 million worth of projects. For MPO planning purposes, that equates to just over $3 million. Traffic operations and safety is getting just about $28.5 million. Intelligent transportation and ATMS, so this is ITS ATMS projects, getting just under $9 million. Capacity projects, just over $160 million. Resurfacing is receiving just about $32 million. Complete streets projects, which are adding bike and ped elements to certain places, is just under $2 million. Bike and pedestrian standalone projects are receiving just about $10 million, with just under $4 million of that coming from the Sun Trail funds. Transit is receiving just about $25 million. That is cut into operations at about $14 million and capital at about $11 million. And aviation is receiving just under $9 million in the entire 5-year program. So next is just going over some of the dates. They're ongoing. The actual public hearing that I mentioned last week is going from the 11th through the 15th. So that ends.
Jensen?
Oh, yes.
Jensen, I just have one question. On the resurfacing on the previous slide, is that an increase, decrease, or the same as fiscal year 21?
So this funding is actually what is currently in the entire 5-year program. So this $32 million is what's included total. I could go back and see what the amount was last year and compare, but I don't have that on hand right now.
Okay.
So essentially last year's presentation would have shown the total from fiscal 21 to fiscal 25. And this is showing the total cost from fiscal 22 to fiscal 26.
All right. That's good to know. I'd like to know that.
Okay, we'll do. All righty. So the open house, which is kind of a limited open house just because of COVID and certain restrictions on that, that is ongoing today. But we are encouraging everyone to go online to the website to view any of the projects that you may have questions on or would like to leave comments. Any public comments on the work program are due on January 29th. And again, this website there, the d7wpph.com, underneath it says January 11th through 15. That is the website to go to leave any of the public comments. February 12th, MPO objections are due. So if any of the committees or the MPO board has anything comments-wise to give, that is the due that they come back to us. And your board will actually be meeting before that to give their comments. February 2021 is when the actual work program that I've just presented is reviewed by the legislature and the Florida Transportation Commission. And on July 1st is when the work program year 1 becomes adopted, and that's part of the state budget. And that will be on Governor DeSantis' signature as part of the state budget on July 1st. So the next slide gives you the website, and Marilyn, we will definitely make sure that this is out to all of you. So all of you will have all this information at your fingertips. But go ahead and go out to the d7wpph.com website. That houses everything that I have just presented, as well as all the dates, as well as any opportunities for comments that you may have to any of the projects that you've seen listed on the screens. So make sure you go there. And again, public comments are due January 29th. MPO objections are due on the 12th of February. And that is my presentation. So if you have any other questions, I will be glad to take those now.
Do we have further questions for Jensen?
I have a question. In regards to the investment in aviation, I don't really look as Pasco County as an aviation destination. What kind of return or what kind of investment is this going to be providing to grow and improve out there in that area?
So usually that comes through the grants process that the individual airports do with the FAA and with the Fed. So a lot of times that kind of grant bypasses DOT and has gone into the work program. I know when I was with the city of Zephyrhills for a little bit that we were working on an airport circulator plan as part of the Zephyrhills Airport. And as well, I know that Melanie may want to chime in with this, but they're also undergoing a lot of transportation options in that corridor, coming up with an entire economic plan as part of encouraging more mixed development, such as light industrial, even upwards to kind of some heavy industrial stakeholders in that area, and kind of revitalizing that entire airport area. So most of that I'll have to defer to Zephyrhills and how they are going to be using that in the future. But that's kind of what that's setting up for, based on Zephyrhills needs that goes to the FAA to get these grants for certain items like this taxiway extension.
Is it accountable, all the funds? And then if there's a certain time frame that is not used, does it go back to somewhere else and be used, in another area?
So these ones will be programmed in that time frame. So I believe that was fiscal 24. The construction will be used for this. There would be timeframes on these grants. So that would be up to the city of Zephyrhills and the actual Zephyrhills Airport to secure that funding and to essentially go about creating what it is they ever need to create with that funding.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from the committee?
I have one more thing I'd like to say to Jensen, going back to Land Lakes and that little bike path situation. If it's for future bike path, I think it'd be better just to keep the sidewalk going on the north part, and that property north of the community center is owned by the county. So, and keep it going along School Road, and then it'll dump off basically at Aaron Cutoff. Because if you're just bringing it to 41 on the community road, community center road, that's a treacherous place to try to cross 41. And there's no sidewalk going either way. So, except on the other side of 41. So I know because I've crossed it before, and there's people coming out of the post office doing U-turns, turning on the community center road. So I just think it'd be better just to continue on that side of School Road. That's it. I didn't know it was in your plan. Otherwise, I would have told you all that.
No, no worries. That's what today was for.
Thank you.
This is Steve here. Are you planning on making this presentation anywhere else?
So this presentation started with you guys, since you guys are the first committee, but this will also be given to the BPAC. It'll be given to the TAC next week, and then it will be given to the board at their special workshop next Thursday.
Okay, I'd like to make a presentation recommendation. That would be that on each one of those projects, if you could just list very briefly, because this is a very short narrative, what the project entails, like landscaping, like sidewalks, like bike, make it a little bit easier for the reader to follow.
Yeah.
Okay, Jensen, is that a doable?
Yes, yeah, I just made that notation. Sorry.
All right. Steve, is there anything else you needed to add?
No, thank you.
Oh, okay. Anyone else online that wants to offer some thoughts or suggestions? Well, if not, then we're not really voting on this. Do we just agree to let it go forward, Tania?
Yes, this is an informational item,
That's
so
right.
we'll move on to the next item.
All right, the next item then is under status reports, which would be item B, Florida Turnpike Enterprise, correct?
Yes, and that will be presented by Ciose Fine from the Florida Turnpike Enterprise.
All right, thank you. Go ahead. Did you say John?
Ciose Fine.
I don't see the name.
He's online.
All right, go ahead.
Ciose, you can unmute yourself.
Hello?
There he is.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Good morning, committee members. My name is Ciose Fine, and I'm here to present the Turnpike's work program for fiscal year 2022 through fiscal year 2026. For Pasco County, there's only one project in the tentative work program, and it is project 444-486-1, which is the interchange improvements on the Suncoast Parkway, State Road 589 at State Road 54. This project improves ramp operations at the State Road 54 interchange. The northbound exit ramp will see the addition of one left turn lane, one right turn lane, and one deceleration lane. The southbound on-ramp will be enhanced by extending the existing taper style on-ramp into a parallel style entrance. For construction, construction is programmed in fiscal year 2022 for $4.6 million. If there are any questions, I can take them now.
Do we have questions from the CAC?
Well, just to clarify, the State Road 589 at State Road 54, you're adding a lane to get on and off? Is that what you said?
So for the northbound exit ramp, you're getting one left turn lane, one right turn lane, and one deceleration lane. And then southbound on-ramp is basically extending the existing on-ramp. Yeah.
Okay, on the south, yeah, because that's a very dangerous on-ramp, getting on to 589 from 54, so that would be very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then. Do we have any other questions from the CAC? Anyone from the CAC online? Questions? With no questions, we want to thank you for your presentation, and we'll just move forward then. All right? Thank you. All right, so we're under item 6, C, General Planning Consultant Extension, AECOM agreement. Go for it.
That'll be me. So I'm going to tie C and D together. AECOM and Tyndale Oliver, they're our general planning consultants. They're coming up on their contracts will be expiring in 2021. This is the last year that their contracts will be able, they had 2 one-year extensions in their contract. This is their last year. Their contract will be able to be extended. Therefore, the MPO is going to go ahead and extend their contract one more time and then go out for RFP this year. And then we'll come back to the CAC and TAC probably later in the year with what the approvals, the bids, what came of the bids when we go back. And then because we have projects currently ongoing, that's why we chose to go ahead and extend this last year. We have projects that are going on till about June of this year. So we're going to go ahead. This is an informational item. We wanted to tell you guys what was going on.
Okay, and in the agenda, this is page 27, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right.
Just a quick question, just
Yes.
AECOM, what do they do? Just to clarify.
There are general planning consultants. They do contract work for us.
Okay, so they do the same as Tyndall. They're kind of.
It varies. So right now, they're doing, they do a lot of our outreach component. They do a lot of our active transportation planning components. Tyndale does a lot of our modeling components and our long-range planning components. So together, they help us since we're a smaller MPO. Some of the larger MPOs can do a lot more things in-house. So we just need a little bit more help. But one day, our goal is to start doing some more things in-house, but that takes a little bit more time, so.
In fact, the representative that we see from time to time is Casey.
Casey's AECOM.
Right? And she's.
Yeah, I'm on the call.
Oh, hey, Casey.
Hi, guys.
What? Anything you wanted to add?
And Tyndale might be on the call as well. Channing Bickford and I, we've had the pleasure of working with Pasco County MPO for many years, me personally since 2013. AECOM is an engineering and planning firm that supports national projects and has a very large presence in Florida as well. And I work out of the Tampa office. So we provide all sorts of disciplines from trail planning and so forth. It depends on what the MPO needs, each particular PWP. And so, yes, we've had that pleasure and I appreciate you asking. Thank you.
Any other questions of Casey or Tania? Then we'll just go ahead and this is fine.
All right, thank you. Yes, it's just informational.
Right, it is informational and we appreciate that.
No problem.
We don't see each other as much anymore, so.
I know.
It's good to, just to refresh memories.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so we're now on, you covered C and D together, correct?
Yes, I did. I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone this morning.
That means, did we also agree then with the Tyndale Oliver?
Yes, it's the same cycle. They're on the same cycle, yes.
Well, we also are very familiar. Isn't that Bill Ball?
Bill Ball is the CFO.
They're very good. Both consultants are very good. Thank you so much. Now we're down to item E, notification of upcoming Transportation Management Area, TMA, certification review. We also have information on that in our packet, correct?
Yes. So if you may have been here 4 years ago in 2017. Every 4 years, the Federal Highway Administration and the Federal Transit Authority come into the transportation management area, which is comprised of Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough MPO, and they do a certification review and a site visit. And they review our transportation planning and processes. And within that site certification, they also have a component where they interact with the citizens and ask for feedback. And so right now we're going through that quadrennial process because it happens every 4 years. So that is coming up on 1/26. And right now we're in the process of we're getting ready for that quadrennial review. However, since we have COVID, the pandemic has hit, it's slightly going to be different. 4 years ago, we had the actual public hearing, and then we had the actual certification. Well, this year, we're actually doing everything on social media outreach. So it's going to look very different. And so in the packet, I said information's forthcoming because we're actually getting the site going live, which will have the social media links that you guys can actually go to and leave comments, and which will begin on 1/26. It'll be a 30-day public comment period. So it'll go from 1/26 to 2/26. And you can leave comments about Pasco. You can leave comments about the regional TMA, and it can provide feedback to the federal government about how we're doing with our transportation planning and processes. And it's a great way, and they do listen and they do provide feedback. And then probably midsummer, June, they'll come back to the MPO board and they'll provide a presentation, and they will go over and they will provide the information to the MPO board of their findings and, give you guys the information as well. So it's definitely a rather large process, but it happens every 4 years. So we got quite a few things happening. We also have our FDOT joint certification that I'll be coming back to you guys with in a little bit as well. So it's quite a busy time for the MPO right now, but all things are good things, trying to streamline some processes for us. So.
Do we have any questions regarding this process, Clint, Tom?
I was just going to ask, do you think going forward, the social media strategy will become more the primary strategy to get more engagement?
Actually, it's funny you say that because Casey is actually working on our PPP right now, and we're actually doing a minor update to kind of put those elements in our public participation plan to solidify the social media aspect of the MPO, because it is such a growing part of what we do in our society, and especially with COVID-19, it's become the way of how we're communicating, our meetings, and it is a great part of how a lot of us communicate. So it is becoming a bigger part of how we do the outreach component. The TMA right now, all 3 of us opted to do the social media outreach. None of us opted to do a public hearing. So that should tell you in and of itself how much social media has kind of taken over how we interact. It's not to say that we don't like the good old fashioned way, but a lot of people would rather sit at home while on the couch and leave a public comment, about whatever road, right, or whatever's going on, than have to physically come in and stand at the dais and provide a comment, right? So it's just ease. Again, right now we're in a pandemic and those kinds of things. I don't know. It could change once we come through this pandemic. It may go back to normal. I don't know. But as of right now, that's kind of the choice of what's going on. Right. So we're capturing that as the MPO, and we kind of just go with what's being presented. I don't know if Casey has more to add to that.
Yeah, Tania, I sure do. Thank you. This is Casey. Tania, great job. And so for your public participation plan, an MPO is required to adopt a public participation plan, but in it, you list everything you could possibly do as an MPO. So it will not preclude you at all from having in-person meetings. You list all the possible avenues that Pasco County is comfortable using. And that way you're ready to be adaptable to what's happening with the environment. And for me, what I'm researching is just what is acceptable to Pasco County, number one, and then also what's happening with the state and the federal government as far as how they view virtual involvement and comments and so forth, and making sure that we capture all of them. So it will not take away the practices that we have used in the past, and it'll be a task by task decision each time you hold outreach of the best way to do it. I suspect we're going to go forward with hybrid versions, but definitely not eliminating the chance to get together when the time happens.
I do have a comment about that. There are a lot of people that still read the newspapers. We still have the Suncoast News in the various areas. We still have the Tampa Bay Times. And I feel very strongly that we must get information into the regular newspapers. There are a lot of older people who still prefer to get their information. They're the ones also who are sometimes affected by what's going on with all these changes. So that will be a very important component. And also, once KC gets the social media element together, then we need to be informed. So we
Absolutely.
know. Right, because to be honest with you, I'm not a wizard on that stuff, but I can follow directions. So
yes, as soon as when I have the pages up, there is also going to be phone numbers that we can also call in. I didn't leave out the citizens that don't have social media. We do have that. We do have a voicemail you can call in and leave. We do have an address you can send, type up a letter. We can email.
Okay.
We have all bases covered, and I also will put out a notice in the actual paper too. That way you could read it just in case you might have missed it, on social media. So we will have all our bases covered, but we just,
No, okay.
we're doing the social media.
Let me just say, now, if you send out one of those legal notices that end up as an ad in the back of the pages, no one is going to see that. So what I'm saying is that has to be translated into a regular news release so that a reporter gets it. Now, I recognize that government is required to put in actual official advertising. No one really listens or looks at that. So I'm saying to Casey and to you that those items need to be translated into everyday language and then written up either through just regular PR, press releases, or reporter coverage. Follow?
Yes, and I know
Casey follows. I know she does.
Right, no, and the way the press releases are done, I can just definitely discuss that with Tambry, our PIO officer, and
Very
see what
good.
she can.
I'm just making sure we're covering all the bases.
Absolutely.
There was a time when I was on this committee.
Yeah, all points well taken.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there was a time when I was in this committee, and I have been on this committee for, as you know, a couple of decades, when I was not making it clear. There was a big difference between that advertising and what PR does. And we want as many people to be informed about what's going to be happening regarding this review. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I just want to add, I want to make sure that the in-person events are not replaced with 100% social media. There's a lot of benefit of seeing your neighbors, talking, collaborating, and then also meeting not only our consultants, but the engineers from FDOT. I've been to a lot of meetings and I've always enjoyed them. So you just don't get that on social media. You get a lot of people behind the curtain willing to say something, but you don't have any context on how they came up with their comment. Whereas in person, you can have a dialogue and you can maybe sit down at a table and go through a map, a plan, this or that. So I just want to make sure we're not moving into a virtual world, although we have to do it now, but I don't want it to replace the in-person. It'd be nice to have the hybrid, do both.
And I don't, that's definitely, I think Casey iterated that too, that we don't want to replace. I think just right now, for what the situation with COVID has brought us, is that we have to, be pliable and just make those updates to our documents and just reflect what's going on and then still leave that room there for, like we said, hopefully in 6 months and with everything going on, maybe we'll return to some sense of normalcy and have those public meetings again. But for right now, we want to make sure we're reflecting with the times and not put ourselves at risk also in the process.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also just to comment, we very much appreciate that you added this item to the January agenda, since the CAC will not meet in February. So this way we can know in advance the time that we can talk to people and to also make our own comments.
And I'll be sending out an email as soon as I finalize the site with our team. And I'll be sending out an email to CAC, TAC, the BPAC, so everybody knows, our advisory committees know that, hey, we're ready to go. This is the date, this is the site. If you want to email, call, you have all the information.
Wonderful, thanks so much. Does anyone else here on the CAC have any comments? Anyone online with comments? Well, okay then. Thanks so much to Casey and to you. And we'll move forward then to the item item F, Florida Department of Transportation regarding State Road 45.
Mr. Craig Fox from FDOT is on the line.
Yes, good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. Thank you for having me on this morning. I can either share my screen or if you wouldn't mind putting the presentation up. Either way, I'm fine. I have it ready to go.
I'd like to see whatever.
Yeah, it seems as though okay, great, thanks.
And the speaker is Craig Fox.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Craig Fox. I'm a PD&E project manager with the Florida Department of Transportation, District 7. All right, great, thank you. So I'm here to update the status of the feasibility study for the State Road 45, US 41, and State Road 54 intersection project. And the reference FPID or project number is 419182-1. So just a little update on the, just a little refresher on the background. This project is also kind of running in tandem with the Pasco County Vision 5456 study, and out of that recommendation came 4 recommendations for the study for this intersection, which was elevated lanes at major intersections, a parallel flow interchange, another elevated lane with a continuous flow intersection, and I have some images later on so you can see what they look like. And also, of course, in any study, we always study the node build condition, which would basically mean that just things stay as they are today. Next slide, please. Thank you. So those are the 4 alternatives yet again. And just one thing I wanted to note. So the elevated lanes over State Road 54 or US 41, they would go in conjunction with, we call a SPUI, and that's a SPUI, single point urban interchange. That's basically just an urban interchange. So we are currently evaluating those 4 different alternatives. We're running traffic analysis on them to see how they operate, and we're also going to get into later on, a little bit deeper into the right-of-way impacts, and also drop some concepts. And we're looking to have a public workshop for that coming up over the summer. Next slide, please. And the goal of this is, of course, to carry this to the PD&E phase and then to design and have a schedule that we have upcoming in future slides also. So just looking at the alternatives in a little bit of more detail, I'll start with alternative 1, which is shown on the top left corner. This one would put US 54 over, State Road 54 over US 41, sorry for the typo there, and including a single point urban interchange. So as you can see, I have the elevated lanes in green going east-west. So if you're on those 4 lanes that's crossing over the intersection, you would not have to worry about stopping at a signal. Motorists will be able to cross clear over and not have to worry about stopping there. But we still want to, of course, allow access for people that do want to make turns, whether it's going northbound or southbound. And for those turns, they will still have a signalized intersection in the middle there. And we also, because there are some driveways that do connect to State Road 54, we are still going to allow through movements at that intersection also. So all movements will still be taken care of. So that's a quick recap of the alternative 1. The second alternative we're analyzing is called the parallel flow interchange. And this one is a little similar to the continuous flow interchange and alternative number 3. Except that this alternative, it does not have the lanes that cross directly over the interstate, over the intersection. What it does instead is that it shifts some of the left turn movements, separates them from the kind of main traffic flow. So as you can see, it looks a little confusing on there, but if you're going from the south side of the screen to the north, where you see that signal crossover, that first signal right there, those vehicles would actually cross over to the left side of the roadway and then be able to cross through. And this would allow basically through movements, left movements to go in a much more efficient manner. That makes the intersection handle traffic a lot better. And then alternative 3 is a little similar to the parallel flow interchange, except those place turns are just in a little bit of different locations. And in this alternative, you also have those green lines going across 41, so you still have those lanes that don't have to deal with the intersection. They can still clear crossover without dealing with that intersection stoplight there if they wanted to. And alternative 4 is the no build alternative. So we are currently right now analyzing and reviewing the project traffic analysis report. And the initial results are looking like, at least traffic-wise, of course, there's more things that to determine alternative besides just the traffic, but initially on traffic-wise, it looks like it's leaning towards alternative 3 being the most efficient one traffic-wise. We still have a lot of other things to look at in the study to come with an alternative, and we're just going to continue with analysis and bring information to the public as we move forward. So if we can go to the next slide, please, it can cover the upcoming dates. So like I said, we have the project traffic analysis report currently under review. This basically crunches runs the models, crunches all the traffic data, and recommends an alternative just based on traffic. We're also the next step is to develop alternative matrix and also further develop concept plans along with different technical memos. And those are going to be done in April of this year. We had to come back to the task force in May, and then put up with the alternatives public meeting in summer of 2021. And this is the schedule just for the feasibility study schedule. And next I'll go over the entire project schedule. On the next slide, please. So we're intending to start the PD&E in 2021. And that'll probably go 2021, maybe into early 2022. And then the design phase will start from 2022 to 2023 with the right-of-way picking up after. Right-of-way was a little earlier in our program, but unfortunately, due to budget impacts with COVID, some items have gotten shifted a little bit. So right-of-way did unfortunately get pushed out a little bit along with the construction phase. So right-of-way right now is looking in 2025, 2026, and with construction beginning in fiscal year 2031. And now one thing I did want to note is that normally in a 5-year work program, we only have a 5-year work program, but this is a SIS project, so it is on the strategic intermodal system. And that is more of a 10-year work program. So that's why we can still kind of display these dates, is because of the SIS program, not in the standard 5-year work program. And at this point, I'd like to take any questions.
I do. I'd like to go back to. We're getting feedback. Sorry. Okay. I'd like to go back to alternative 3 and just ask. I don't remember us having a combination of a flow situation and a overpass.
You got to, maybe you should remind everybody that the three of us were on the task force.
With the task force. Yes, because we started out with the task force. You had taken the suggestions of the task force. I just don't remember.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. If we could actually go back to slide number 2, it has that the recommendations from the task force. There we go. Yeah. So on the right side so on the right side underneath that green column there, those are the intersection alternatives, and the alternative number 3 would be the elevated express lanes and major intersections, bus or rail in separate lanes combined with the continuous flow intersection, and that would be alternative 3 in there.
Right. Yeah, I just didn't remember.
So let me just interject here. So it's been many years now.
Can you mute Craig?
Be back.
Don't use the space bar when talking.
Yeah, just use the space bar when you talk, Craig.
So it's been a few years since the task force met, and I do remember the alternatives 1 through 4 we had to choose. It was not a choice, but I think it was a matter of 2 were continuous flow. 1 was that patented design by the gentleman from out of the area. I can't remember his name. And 1 was no build. I think the issue was to try to come up with a combination of the continuous flow with the at grade level option, so that we wouldn't take as much of the retail stores out. So I do remember, I remember the number 3 alternative. I'm not saying we voted it to be 1, 2, or 3. I just know that it was one of the 4. it would be nice to hear if you could bump it up because there's going to be so much more traffic on 54 at that intersection in the next 5 years than I think anybody even can fathom. But I understand the budget crisis or budget issues. It's not a crisis.
I have a question.
Yeah.
No, I just didn't remember the comment. Sorry.
Who's got a question?
Is that Steve?
Oh, Clint, go ahead.
The property that's all around the intersection, has all this been already approved with, obviously it looks like some of these pictures are reflecting some taking away of some land. Is there going to be those buildings are going to be purchased out like the CVS, the 7-Eleven, the lumberyard and the other commercial building, and also about the train tracks that are there as well. But separately, just to the south of this, you've got a cluster of an issue going to Business 41 and up to Dale Mabry. That's not in this picture. I recognize that's a whole nother rat's nest, but I think looking at this and then not even at least saying how you're going to keep the flow going to the south, I don't know. I just would like to see what your thoughts on that are.
Yes, sir. So to answer the first question in regards to the right of way, yes, if right of way is required, then would go through the standard right of way acquisition process. At this point, since we haven't completed the PD&E and have signed off environmental document for that, we can't go, but we can't go to the extent of things like eminent domain. So as we get into the alternatives, alternative concept developments a little later this spring, we'll be able to get more of a solid idea about all the right-of-way parcels that are going to be impacted, and those will also play a key factor in which alternative is a recommended alternative, along with input from the MPO also. In regards to the second item, if you wouldn't mind going to slide number 3, although the alternatives that I showed just had a snapshot of the intersection, the study itself is actually going further south on US 41 and also along Dale Mabry also, as you can see on there. So we do actually include the intersections, like say down by the Walmart, and actually further south of there, also further west on 54 and further east also. So although I gave a snapshot because that's where probably the biggest changes would take place at that intersection, the evaluation study and the PD&E is also evaluating the large region also to incorporate those safety and traffic impacts.
I have a question. Statement. I'm not a huge fan of social media. I don't do Facebook and all this stuff for fun stuff, but a way to maybe promote this to the public in the area, because I know when I'm in this area, a lot of people are like, they don't know what this is. All they know is they drive in this every day and it's a mess. And so I'm just thinking, however you guys can do a news blast to promote it or to just, reflect what you all are doing or where this thing stands would be highly encouraged. So at least all these people know. I don't know how you would do it, but I'm just thinking this would be a great way to at least show people some kind of, progress or plan.
Yes, sir. And we can certainly use social media to promote, especially the alternatives workshop that's going to happen in the summer. Definitely we can use newspaper ads along probably newsletters go out to folks in addition to our social media also to get the word out.
So am I hearing you right? You're actually saying there's going to be an elevated extended, right now it's just an overpass over 41 and 54, but you're talking about further east and further west?
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. No. What I meant was that the feasibility study itself is looking at the impacts of traffic further east and west than those small like snapshot images that I had of the alternatives.
Okay. When you go to the next page, you have segment 1 and segment 2. We'll go past that. Or maybe it was before. Sorry, somewhere in there. Yeah, there.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes, so segment 1 and segment 2 were actually part of the Pasco County 54-56 corridor study. But this project is only looking at the intersection that was shown in the image on slide number 3. The segments here were more so, yes, segment 1 and 2, those are the ones that the MPO was looking at in their corridor study.
Okay.
So for the benefit of people who weren't involved, all this was done fairly public in 2 phases. And I think the first phase, we were trying to decide should there be flyovers or there should just be at grade solutions. And to answer your question about CSX, there's no way to go under it. That was studied. And really the option, in my opinion, was to go over it because CSX is not going to do anything to their tracks. And the impact, if we remember correctly, on any of the alternatives, and I'm not speaking for FDOT, I'm just going off memory, the impact is it went going to the east. I believe the impact was all the way to the restaurant. Can't remember. Benedetto's is as far because of how it has to integrate back into at grade.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what you're showing in the green is saying, look, that's the impact area, because eventually you gotta integrate the traffic back into normal traffic flow, right? So if you have a continuous flow, you have to get it back into 54s at grade level if it was elevated. So all those things are still in the notes and probably could be referred. It's all online, right? Tania, it's all still, you can still look at it on MPO's website. I think the Vision 54-56, it's all there. It's kind of ironic. I was looking at it just the other day. So anyways, nice to see it come back as a priority item. I wish it would be a little sooner than later, but
yeah, it's going to be 10 years.
Yeah, but we knew it was going to be a long time to do, but yeah, 10 years, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Do we have any other questions? Okay, anyone online? Well, I have a question. I want to go to that next slide, please. Yeah, very good. Parallel flow interchange, and then you have a continuous flow interchange. It looks to me like parallel flow would probably be a bit more expensive build out wise. Am I correct in my assumption?
Bridges are more.
Well, we're still evaluating the cost, but so you're correct. While structures do cost a substantial amount of money, you also have right-of-way impacts too, which depending on which right-of-way you're impacting, if it's a vacant lot, then of course it's, not as much money as say like, a business that you have to pay for a relocation. So what we see sometimes is that even though you have less structure, if you have more right-of-way impacts, that cost could be pretty substantial too, and it has sometimes cost more than a structure. So, so we don't have the concept. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Is there feedback going on again? Okay. I just wanted to say, so you're saying you can't determine at this time. I just was curious.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We cannot determine just as yet, but that is going to be included in the matrix that we are going to have developed a little later this spring, and then we're also going to have that available at the public workshop over the summer.
All right.
And we'll have a better idea then.
Can we get rid of that feedback?
I can't. It's his microphone and speaker on his side.
Okay.
So
All right. Do we have any other questions from the CAC? All right, very good. Then we'll move on. And thank you so much, Craig, for your presentation.
You're welcome. Sorry about the feedback. Take care.
All righty. So that takes care of item F and also all the status reports. Is that correct? Yes. All right. So now we're on to 7. Item 7, congestion management process. Tania, do you have any comments on that? Or do I ask the CAC?
I don't have any comments at this time. I know Jensen later in the meeting has several comments from the last meeting that he'll be going over. So,
well, right now, congestion management process. I think that's usually the CAC who comes forward. So Clint and Tom, do you have any items?
I do not.
Okay, and Sandy? Okay, anyone online, Steve?
No comments on what was presented last month.
All right, then. With that, we'll move on to item 8, Pasco County Public Transportation. Is Kurt here?
I sure am. Good morning, good morning. Coach Chapel, Director. Let me get my video. It didn't come on. Just a second. There we go. And once again, good morning all. Kurt Scheibel, Director of Pasco County Public Transportation. A couple of things is I don't know if you noticed when they were briefing about the work program update, my funding was in there also. The good news is that all our funding seems to be on track and not going to be changed from FDOT. I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but recently the Board of County Commissioners changed the TIF allocation numbers, i.e. they lowered the amount that goes into the TIF, and that does have a direct impact on my operations. So I'm just letting you know that you'll probably be briefed on more and more as the budget, the planned budgets start to shrink and the numbers actually are firmed up. So just want to let you know that is going to be happening here. See some things come forward about what the service levels may change to. Some good news is we finally got some grants going through for some of our vehicles that we've been needed for our paratransit side. We're waiting on the final from the FTA, but we'll be ordering some new vehicles down the road here relatively quickly to be able to. I've been briefing it for a while about our new paratransit software. We've actually started that process, and it looks very promising for the customer service aspects too. That's about it I've got for the board today. So if there's any questions for me, I'm willing to hear some questions.
Any questions?
I do. I always have a question for you, Kurt. A few months back, right in the peak of the pandemic, you had mentioned, your riderships were dropping off, but then they were rebounding. I don't know if that was towards the summer. I can't remember. I'm curious if you have data to show where your highest ridership is now that it's kind of getting back to a consistent ridership pattern. I don't think, from what I've read, I don't think you'll get back to where you were pre-pandemic until everybody is over with the scare of the virus. But where are you seeing the most ridership right now?
Well, unfortunately, our ridership dropped back down. I don't know if you've looked at the numbers recently, but COVID is stronger and more cases now than it was at the beginning. But we're still seeing the numbers on the high performing routes, i.e. Route 19. We're still seeing about a third of all of our riders right on 19. 54 is another strong route, and 21 going up and down Little Road is also a very strong route. That's probably your 1, 2, 3.
Are you able to increase frequency based on that data, or are you pretty much staying the course?
Nope, we've already increased the frequency. We're in a COVID we're on a COVID schedule right now. We closed down a couple of our routes and increased more on 54. We did put 3 buses on there instead of 2, and 19 also got another bus.
Okay. Well, you and I got to talk offline about some major employers coming on 54 that I'm sure would love. They've already asked me about your service, and so I'll talk to you about that when you and I can talk separately.
Yeah, no problem. Just be aware of, though, that like I said, with the TIF adjustment that was made, my budget is not going to be increasing. The plan right now is some significant decreases. So I'm not sure what we may be able to do, but I'm always willing to listen.
Well, if we can line up more customers for you, then maybe you can go back in and get some of that funding back. But I'll talk to you about a major employer that's going into the former Target building. We had to do a very specific, we had to answer a very specific request about transportation on 54. So I'll talk to you about that. We'll have a nice conversation.
Give me a call anytime. Give me a call anytime.
Kurt, do you have any questions? Sandy had to leave. She had an appointment. So I do have just a point of clarification. When you say TIF, is it TIF as in Frank? Tax increment finance?
Yes, you're correct. The Transportation Increment Finance Fund, the allocation was voted, it was changed to 25% from 30. I'm not sure of the numbers. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure the numbers.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't saying TIP, TIP.
No, TIF.
Okay. Yeah, very good. There is another, I'm sorry, what was that?
Thank you for clarifying. I thought you said TIP.
Yeah, well, yeah. And I'm very familiar with TIF. Yeah. So another question I have, Kurt, how is the Shady Hills transportation doing? I know that we introduced it a few months back, but is that still operating?
Yes, ma'am, it sure is. The problem is that unfortunately COVID, when you're introducing a new route during the COVID, you kind of put the route, you did not set it up for success. It's doing pretty steady though, if you understand what I'm saying. It's a very slow but steady rider increase, 1 or 2 to 3 riders per week, but it's like, it goes like from 19 to 20 to 21, 22. So it is increasing. I think it's more of, we're still getting some of the word out to people, and they're, as was mentioned earlier, people are concerned about, catching COVID. And I don't think anything's going to change until everyone's been vaccinated that wants the vaccination. So that's where we're at.
And the various organizations like the Metropolitan, what is that? The Church Association, Metmen, the ministries, they know about this and they get this information out to their constituents, their people, right?
I did talk to a couple of pastors about mid-September, mid-August, somewhere around in that time frame. So I don't know who they were with, but I did talk to a couple of pastors that were on the Shady Hills Road, right when you make the corner from Peace going north. So I did not know what the organization was, but there was like one of the Baptist churches. He had some people with him.
Metropolitan Ministries are wider than that, right? They're more of a social program. I'm just trying to make sure we get the word out to the various people and the various organizations that would be able to use this transportation. Thanks so much, Kurt. We appreciate your update. Is there any other question from the CAC? All right, we'll move on then. Thank you. Okay, we are now on other business, meetings to be held, items of note. Under that is the CAC membership discussion. You want to bring us up to date on that?
Yes. At our last meeting, we had taken a vote for Mike Sophia and Philomi Papala to be at-large members. It was taken to the board. The board wanted more information as it related to the members joining the CAC. So I've been working with both members to gather that information, and hopefully they can attend the February meeting so they can become members of the CAC officially. And also too, we have elections that need to happen in March. So hopefully we can have quorum in March at our next CAC meeting. So I will make sure to, when I send out the next email, to ensure that we have quorum for March.
Okay, that's important.
I want to ask a favor of you. your emails, I always read them, but I also get them infrequently. So they kind of fall into the queue. And I get so many emails that then I go looking for them. But I think it was Kelly, I think, over in Dade City who made a point that if we're getting together, we at least need a quorum. And I absolutely agree with that. And it's not on you, that's on us. Maybe what you could do is just send a reminder with that calendar of meetings and just get people to start putting it on their calendar. Maybe even tell them to do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like right now, I'd say, please put this on your calendar so that we have quorum. And the first priority is is the election coming up. Because if we are meeting and we can't vote, we have to do it by consensus. We're not doing our role very well. I know I doubled my efforts to get my alternate here when I couldn't get here, and I have a system set up now, so I'm good with that. But I don't think for 6 meetings, we can afford not to have a quorum on every meeting. And that's not on you, that's on us. But I do think if you don't mind, you could put a little friendly pressure on people to get it on their calendar and say, is it 5? Do we need 5 here to have a quorum?
Yes, 5.
You say we have to have 5. Otherwise, we're not doing our role for our fellow citizens. And there's a lot of good information in here stuff that ties directly to my job that was in this meeting today. So it's very good information.
Yes, and we did take your I think it was about 2 meetings ago when, you guys were asking for a more robust meeting. Yeah. We took that to heart and, I asked some of my, staff and stakeholders, their thoughts and kind of, just put our heads together and try to put something out that was a little bit more robust. So, and, sometimes, yes, we may not meet quorum, but we still want to meet because it is important that we meet and we do take the information back to the board because they still hear us even though we don't take action, but we still want to take action because it gives more of a foothold and more, more backing, hey, we all came together and we took action and we voted, of course.
We have to make sure that the CAC has robustness itself. See, when we don't have people participating, that's a big question. And thank you, Tom, for bringing that up. After all, like you said, we just need the 5, but I prefer to see more. Now, what we need to do too, Tania, is go through all the names currently to make sure that those persons, remember I talked to you earlier about Lee, and you're going to follow up. In the meantime, I learned a couple meetings ago that Ron Hibbs is no longer on the committee.
Yes,
so we need to know that. And me as chair, I want to know the status of all members.
Yes, no, that's why Philomi and Mark were set in because remember we didn't have Jose Cardenas or Ronald Hubbs. They were taken off. That's how that created those other 2 positions. So we did go through and we cleaned the list. So now we have to follow up with Lee. Rob, like I said, Rob and Larry are usually the first ones to respond. So I think they might be on vacation still because it's unlike them not to respond. So I think that's what's going on there.
Very good then. So let me see, I have a question here. The new members now that we heard in December, they are going to be coming on board in March.
That is our direction,
so
yes.
They'll know that they need to be here. Okay, great. I think that's all I need to ask in regard to our board. And at that meeting, we'll be taking into consideration a chair position and a vice chair position. Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions on this item? Okay, thank you. We'll move forward. Let's see here. We are now at CAC member roundtable for future agenda topics. Clint, do you have a topic you want to bring up?
Absolutely. There's an issue over there in the Pasco County and City of Port Richey with some of the way that people are keeping their yards. I've communicated with code enforcement. At one point, the code enforcement for the county said that they had some ability to, I guess, if the people were not willing to clean up their yard or keep it presentable and not affect other people's values, that they can actually lien the landowner's property and then actually have the stuff hauled away. What I understood is that is no longer available to people. I think code enforcement said that ability for them to do that was removed because I guess people had complained that they took stuff that they shouldn't have. But I just wanted to see where there's some areas where the city of Port Richey and Pasco County land is within a few feet of each other, and it just kind of gets bypassed by the county because it's in the city of Port Richey. So I'm just trying to see who I can be directed to or how we can have this discussion to try and help hold people accountable that even are renting these properties and putting the landowners in a legal issue. So I'm just, I wanted to see what would be the direction to go and how to have that discussion start.
That would be probably another department, Tania?
Yeah, I would have to look into that for you. That's definitely not on the MPO umbrella, but I definitely can help point you in the right direction.
That would be really helpful because it's not easy to know where to go for all of this. So if you could help.
Something like that, unless it directly impacts visibility on the roads, like overgrowth or something like that, I don't think there's much that the MPO can do to assist other than to refer.
Right.
In the past, you would start through the code enforcement here at the county and maybe get a collaborative meeting with Newport Richey, and maybe they can do some sort of interlocal agreement to where they can agree to help each other when they're in that area. But that would be a separate than the MPO can do, because the MPO, that falls outside of their purview. Am I right on that? I think.
Yeah, I would only be able to refer.
That's fine.
So sometimes it's important, and I'm sorry to interject because I went through this once before, not on your issue, but Tania, can you, this is more education, but can you, in a nutshell, explain the MPO is embedded in the county, but you're funded through federal dollars, right? So the issue really, what you deal with here at the county is more of a transportation related as it funnels up, right? Through FDOT to the feds. So your relationship to the community is not as clear as it is because you're in this building. It's kind of like you're renting space in this building. So been through that many times. So that's why Tania can only refer you to something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Our role as the MPO, we're hosted, we're within the county, and we are a federal entity that receives federal dollars to plan and program. So we're the lead planning agency within the county, and we take federal dollars to plan and program for Pasco County, and we do that and through working with the county and other stakeholders to get that done. And so, yes, while we are in this building, we are really taking direction from FHWA, Federal Highway Administration, Federal Transit Authority, the Florida Department of Transportation to get all that done within the federal guidelines, and then seeking guidance through the county and what they're doing in their planning and program to make a robust planning schedule for the county through the plans and with the financial standing that we have coming through the federal dollars. So yes, and we do pick up a lot of county knowledge along the way, and we can point you in the right direction. But as Tom said, if it's not blocking the road, if it's not creating an issue to where like the trash is causing something in the transportation realm, it's really hard for us to make any moves to do something about that. As far as code enforcement, that is a county kind of process.
And you'll help Clint get into the right place. Yeah. Very good then. Tom, do you have anything else you wanted to add? All right.
One more thing, Marilyn, we have FDOT follow-up discussion from CAC meeting on 12/2 and 2020. Underneath the roundtable discussion.
Well, I still want to do roundtable because I have something.
Okay, yeah, no, I just didn't want you to leave off.
Or not roundtable, but actually the discussion regarding the meetings. I just wanted to make sure that I'm clarifying for those of us still here from the CAC, because I was not aware that January is the CAC meeting, February is the MPO meeting, and then in March is the CAC, and then in April is the MPO. Now, I was confused. I thought that we were still going to do, we were going to do January and then skip a month. So I'm just clarifying that we are still, that the MPO is still going to be in action every month of the year. Okay, unless it's canceled for some reason.
The MPO board meeting is only meeting 6 times as well.
Yeah, that's what okay. Right. CAC, MPO, we just have a new schedule. Okay, now, you said before I adjourn, you want to add something?
Yes. So last month we had another robust discussion about some congestion management issues that we discussed at the end. And so Jensen Hackett from FDOT went through and did a little bit of homework on some of those issues, and he wanted to come back and give you an update and not leave you, kind of hanging on what was the update from that last discussion. So he's on the line now to give you an update on that.
Okay, he's going to do that update today. All right, go ahead, Jensen.
All right, sure thing, Marilyn. I'll just make it quick. I actually, in the time that you guys have been discussing everything with your current meeting, I was able to go look up the TA application that we received from Pasco County for the school road sidewalk project. And this is coming from the county and how they described it. So the purpose of the project was to construct an 8-foot concrete multi-use path along the western side of School Road. And this would connect the current sidewalk that begins near the school and ends at the intersection of School Road and US 41. So there's a sidewalk gap there. And what the county wants to have done with this sidewalk is it would start along the eastern portion of School Road for about 20 feet, and then it would mid-block cross School Road, and it would end up on the western side and continue on the western side all the way up to US 41. So that is the information that was given to us by the county. And so that is what the project would be. So if there's any other questions on that specifically, I would just have to defer to the county because the county is the main sponsor of that specific project.
So this project you are talking about is taking place in mid-county?
Yes, that was the project that I touched on the work program presentation. Yep.
Okay. There's a school road in West Pasco, so I'm just clarifying. Yeah, so this is mid-county.
Yep, Land O'Lakes. Yep.
Okay. All right, then. Thank you very much for bringing us up to date on that.
Of course. And then I have, so from last month's meeting, I was asked about the Lake Jovita entrance at State Road 52 over between Dade City and San Antonio. Yeah. This one I actually took to our traffic operations engineers. And so I got a response back from them that they've done a traffic safety study at this intersection. And over the last 5 years, there's only been 2 actual crashes at this intersection. So this would not warrant any type of control device, which would be a signal at this intersection. When the Jovita neighborhood went in along State Road 52, they actually were going to put in a very small queuing lane for the guard gate that's there. And so FDOT asked them to move the guard gate further into the community to allow for a queuing lane that would go up to that. So they were able to provide that originally when it went in. And then on our side, because of that site triangle that's there when you're turning left out of Lake Jovita to go eastbound towards Dade City on 52, that's why we put in the little merge lane that's there on the eastern side of the intersection. The speed limit they checked, and that is marked at 50 miles an hour at that intersection. The reason why is because of that intersection, they decided to reduce the speed limit to 50. I believe it could be potentially marked as 55, but we went ahead and reduced that at that time to 50. That's all determined through engineering speed studies, so we actually decreased it a little bit to that 50. In terms of lighting, like actual, not signals, but actual street lighting in that intersection, that would be something that the community would have to talk to whomever the, if it's Duke that's out there, I'm not sure who the actual power provider is at that location, but they have to start talking with the power provider there to provide those, not the signals, the lights. And we would be involved in that, but we can't start that and initiate that conversation. So that's everything that I found out from the Lake Jovita entrance. I don't know if anybody had any further questions or comments related on that, but that's everything that I was able to uncover with that specific intersection.
Just a question on the light, is that an assessment type situation where the residents of Lake Jovita would pay for the light? Is that what you mean? As far as initiated?
As far as I understood, that was a neighborhood initiated thing. Okay. In terms of that, I think that in our kind of actual warranting of that, it wouldn't be warranted to that location. And I think that's why it was more of a deference to what the neighborhood wanted to do and if they could find it and figure out anything with whomever that energy provider is for the area out there.
Okay. That's good.
Yes, Steve Hickman, thank you for that update. I know that Larry Guilford brought it up last month, and I'll relay that information to Larry.
Okay, thank you.
All
so
right,
then just two more, Marilyn. I promise I'll be quick.
Okay.
So the other one was the question at Clinton Prospect out there in Dade City. So I went ahead and talked to the construction manager of the current construction project, the new State Road 52 alignment, the 4-laning all the way from 301 to I-75. They are about to get to the Prospect and Clinton Avenue intersection in terms of construction. So there was two things about that. The construction crew would need to put in some kind of essentially a stop at that point so that they could allow for construction vehicles to be able to move from the construction project onto Prospect and then straight across into Clinton. So there would be some additional work that would go on the western side to potentially have a 4-way stop because the 4th way currently would be used for construction vehicles to enter and exit the construction project. The second thing that I found out was what I was kind of alluding to at the last meeting, where we wouldn't be able to put any type of signalization there, at least from FDOT's side. The reason for that is because of the cost of that. The future light poles that'll be there, the signal mast arms, the intersection is actually going to be raised by about 4 to 5 feet as the final alignment. So we can't go in and put poles in the ground now because the entire intersection is going to be raised at that location. And the current light poles that would go in for the traffic that would be coming on Clinton and turning right or left on Prospect, the light poles wouldn't line up because the intersection is going to kind of shift slightly to the south. So they wouldn't be in the right direction from the final mast poles that are there. So we wouldn't be able to put in light poles any sooner to get anything done there. The current ownership of the road is not DOT, so we couldn't do anything in terms of like extending turn lanes or anything at that intersection. But that's what I found out through our construction manager of the project. However, the construction, you will be starting to seeing that very, very soon coming from the west, moving towards the east, towards that intersection. So you will be seeing activity there. Obviously, some of the trees will have to be taken down in that area that are there. So site visibility may improve just based on those factors. But again, this kind of ties back to Lake Jovita as well. Once the new alignment of 52 is completed, we're expecting a big drop in the amount of traffic that is on the current State Road 52. And a lot of the trucks will be then using the new state route, which would be the southern alignment. So that would kind of help out at Jovita. And then obviously once that's done, you will have the full intersection with full mast arm signals at Prospect and Clinton for future use.
Thank you, Jensen.
Okay. And then just the last one was for Sandy. I know she's left, but I just wanted to say it on record. I went ahead and talked to our landscape architect for the District 7. He is willing to work with the county in programming landscaping for the medians of US 41 from the Pasco Hillsborough County line up north into the area of Land O'Lakes. The only caveat with that is that the earliest that he could fund that would be in fiscal year 23. And that's kind of iffy as of right now. So it'll be more likely in fiscal 24, which in the state fiscal year side of things would actually start July 1st of 2023. So we could work on getting some kind of maintenance agreement together with the county in order to go forth with that and provide funding for some kind of landscape opportunities along US 41, just north of the Hillsborough County line. That being said, that would be as long as there wasn't some kind of appropriation that gets put in, because again, as I mentioned last meeting, if an appropriation gets put in and it gets vetoed, now the district has lost the budget there, so we wouldn't be able to work on it for at least another fiscal year. So.
All right. Now that was a response to Sandy Graves' question. Can you let her know that Jensen addressed that, please?
Yes, I will.
That's great. All right, Jensen, anything else?
That's everything I had. I thank you for listening to my voice for so long during this meeting. I appreciate it.
And I do have one quick question regarding the Clinton Prospect Road. When do you anticipate, or when does the DOT anticipate having that project finished?
So the original schedule was to have the entire project completed by 2024. From conversations that I've been having with the construction management through that question that I was asking, they're alluding to it probably will be finished ahead of schedule. So I'm not sure exactly what the timing would be, but definitely we will have it totally wrapped up by the year 2024 gets here.
All right, that's good. Well, once again, thank you so much for your follow-up and your good information. We appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you guys. Happy New Year as well.
You too. Okay. All right, then. We are now on our agenda. Basically, the last item is to just make note that we are meeting in Dade City, correct? March 3.
We are.
Yes, March 3. So those of us on the west side need to know that we have to get in our cars and drive, because it is important that we have as much representation, or at least be virtually present, as long as we have the COVID. So does anybody else have any comment? Then we can close this meeting for today. Thank you, Tania, and thank you, John, for taking care of our tech needs. All right.
All right.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Nice job, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.